and all of a sudden I was seeing his whole head come out, and he had a lot of hair. And then they told me, okay, we got to push the rest of him out. And I'm not gonna lie, as soon as I saw like a part of like past his head, I got a little nervous. I couldn't watch anymore. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Life of Valerie Allison. So this video I have been waiting to finally bring to you guys, and it's our birth story. I'm so excited to share it with you guys, how everything went and all of the juicy details that go in with that. Now, I did not film any parts of the birth because it was just that quick. So let me fill you in. But before I do, this video is actually in collab with my due date twin, Lauren from the Joyful Homemaker. We were both due on the same day, March 14th. I had my son March 1st and she had hers March 21st. So I was 31 weeks and 1 day and she was 41 weeks. So it just goes to show you too how due dates don't mean that you're gonna have your baby on your due date. You could have it before or after. So we thought it would be interesting to bring you guys this collab. So I am going to leave a link to her birth story in the description box down below. I know you're gonna love her if you haven't checked out her channel already. And if you do, then you know what I'm talking about. She has an awesome channel. So definitely go check her out. Okay, so let's start from the beginning before I actually went into labor. Around 35 weeks, I had my group B strep, so my doctor took that opportunity to see where I stood as far as how dilated I was, and at that point I was 3 centimeters dilated. And so my OBGYN thought that I would probably go in to have the baby before my due date based on that, but he said that some women go even longer. You know, they go all the way up to their due date being 3 centimeters dilated or even a little bit more. So he wasn't too sure. And the first time around, I was actually induced with my son. And so we set a date to be induced this time also. The first time there wasn't really any medical reason why I was induced. It was really more of scheduling. So some people might not be happy about this. I wasn't too thrilled about it, but my doctor wasn't sure if he was going to be able to be there for the birth. So we scheduled me to be induced at 39 weeks the first time around. And he really did not think that I was going to make it to even the induction date, which was at 39 weeks this time around. Okay, so fast forward, and at this point I was around 37 weeks pregnant, and I found out that my husband had to travel last minute for work. So up to that point, I had been doing a lot of walking to try to get labor started on its own because I really did not want to be induced again. I wanted this to be as natural as could be. I even had in my mind to try to not do the epidural again this time. But I wasn't being like strict about it. If I really needed it, then I was going to be fine with that. So at this point though, my husband had to last minute go all the way on the West Coast. We are on the East Coast. And so he told me like, just lay low for these next few days. And, you know, hopefully this baby doesn't come. And if it does, well, I'll just have to jump on the next flight. That was nerve-wracking because I was trying to get done, you know, a lot of things around the house so that I could be ready and prepared for this baby to come, because I don't know, I felt within me that this baby was going to come sooner than we all expected. So I really did lay low during that time. He was going to be back on Sunday or Monday, I forgot which day, but anyway, it was going to be Sunday or Monday of that week. And again, that was at 37 weeks. Yeah, that was at 37 weeks, getting close to 38 weeks. So you could only imagine how nervous I was. Okay, so once he got back, we were like cheering because he made it. Yay, he made it back before I had this baby. So I was so happy and so excited that he made it back. And so since he was back, I took the next couple days to continue preparing, and during that time again I just laid low. I barely did anything, which was so hard for me because if anybody knows me personally who's watching this video, then you know that I am not the type of person to sit down and just sit around. I am like go, go, go all the time. So that was hard for me. So Anyway, moving along. Okay, so I was, let's see, 37 weeks and 6 days, or 37 weeks and, no, actually I was 38 weeks exactly. Okay, so I was 38 weeks exactly, and I decided to go on this little nature walk with my son. We met up with a friend and her girls, and we went on this little nature walk. I was hoping that this was going to help bring the onset of labor. At that point, I was just gung-ho on, like, let's just get this labor started. Let's get this baby out. What are we waiting for? So by that time, again, I was 38 weeks, and I went on the nature walk. I felt a lot of pressure, and I was kind of chasing my son around a little bit. Not, running, because I didn't want to fall or anything, but, I was doing a lot of walking and a lot of heavy, fast-paced walking. So that day I felt a lot of extra pressure, but I wanted to keep going because I kind of felt in me that if I just keep going, then he'll probably want to come out. And I even remember rubbing my belly and going like, come on out, Nicholas, please come out. And so then what I decided is that night I actually went and did some food shopping, and that helped to continue walking and continue that pressure. And that was actually at night. And then probably around 12 in the morning, my husband and I were just kind of talking like we usually do. We are night owls, so we were just up late talking, and I kind of realized that I was having some type of, not pains, but like what I would say are contractions, and I knew right away that they were contractions. And really quickly, I honestly, since I had never had contractions on my own before, I didn't know what contractions felt like. And I kept asking everyone, like, what do contractions feel like? How are they? And no one could really give me a great answer, and I can understand why. It's like very hard to explain what contractions feel like unless you've actually had them, to me anyway. They're definitely, for me, it was nothing like Braxton Hicks. So I did feel that like light pain. It wasn't really super painful, but yeah, it was just, I don't know how to explain it. Anyway. So around 12:30, I started feeling them on and off, and they were coming at a steady pace. And then I realized that maybe this is it. And my husband was talking to me. We were going over some type of plan for the house or something like that. And in the meantime, he was like, are you, what's going on? And I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm having contractions. They were really light, so I was trying to listen to him because I was kind of tired and having contractions at the same time. So I was trying to listen to him and interact with what our plan was going to be. And so, yeah, that was around 12:30. And then I think probably about half an hour later, we decided it was time to, to finish this and go to sleep. So, okay, so around 1 o'clock, we went to sleep, but I was having these on and off contractions. And again, I think they were about 10, 11 minutes apart. And I actually downloaded an application right then and there and started trying to track them to see if they were at a consistent time apart. And again, they were. It was about 10, 11 minutes apart, and they were lasting about a minute and some odd seconds. So at that point, I was laying down, so I knew that these were contractions and that this baby could be coming. So in my head, I was actually getting really nervous and super excited at the same time, because I was like, oh my gosh, I think this is it. I think I'm going to have a baby. And I was so excited that my body was doing it on its own. So that was exciting for me. So then around 3-ish in the morning, I would say, I could not sleep anymore. So the contractions were getting more intense. They were not painful, like to the point where I couldn't handle it, but they were waking me up to the point where I needed to get up and out of bed and start moving and get things ready. And I was starting to think that maybe I should call my doctor. So at that point, it was around 3:30. I decided to call the doctor, and I called the hospital actually, and they told me to call my doctor. And the hospital told me that my doctor had just left the hospital. He had just performed another delivery, and I felt like, oh my gosh, my doctor just left and now he's gonna have to come back. I felt kind of bad for him. I know it's his job and everything, but I did feel bad for him. So anyway, so I called my doctor's office, and of course there was nobody there because it was 3:45 to 4 in the morning by that time. So they called me back, and he actually called me back, and he was like, I just got under the covers. And I was like, I am so sorry, but I think I might be having a baby. So he was like, okay, how far apart are the contractions and all of that? And I let him know. And then he told me, okay, you were already 3 centimeters dilated when I saw you last time. So, and that was at our 37 week appointment. I was still 33 centimeters dilated. So he was like, and you went pretty quickly the first time once, my water broke. So he was like, I really want you to go to the hospital and get checked. And he was like, go before traffic starts though, because I don't want you to get caught up in that. And yeah, so I woke up my husband and told him that I am having contractions, and the doctor said that it's time for us to go to the hospital to make sure that, this is labor, because if it is, then they want me to stay, and if it isn't, they'll send me back home. So he was kind of like in a daze, and he was like, really, this might be it? And I was like, yes, this might be it, let's go. And I remember feeling like a chicken with my head cut off. So I had my bags ready. I had, the baby's bag ready, my bag ready. My husband's bag was not ready yet. So I don't know why I tried to get labor to start without having certain things ready. I think I just really thought that this was not going to happen. So I was just like, well, I'll just do as much as I can before maybe labor comes. I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, I was running around because I had no outfit ready. I had laundry that was still needed to be folded. And I just was kind of shocked. I think I was just in shock, really, about the whole thing. So anyway, I'm getting everything ready. I decide to call my in-laws to let them know that, it's time so that they can come over, because they're only 10 minutes away, and they were the closest ones to come, to our house to take care of my oldest son, who's 3. So I'm calling them, and they finally answered, and my mother-in-law came over right away. In the meantime of all of this, we're getting ready, trying to run around. I'm trying to get just things ready. I just remember being just in shock and in a daze. So in the meantime, my contractions are picking up. They're getting more intense. So every time that I'm doing something, I have to grab onto a wall or grab onto something to just kind of handle my contraction, and then continue walking. So that's what I'm doing at that time. And then I asked my mother-in-law, what's a good, what could I do for this? She was like, go take a shower. She was like, go take a shower. That's going to help you relax, and that's going to help your body just open up and, just get ready for this labor and continue the process. And I was like, okay, that's a good idea. I liked that idea. So I took a really hot shower. I felt way more relaxed, clean, and ready to deliver this baby, hopefully that day, which I figured would have been that day, because the contractions were even more intense to the point where I was starting to really hurt. So it was about 4:30 in the morning when we finally got into the car. We got everything loaded, and we left my mother-in-law with my son. And by that time, the contractions were really bad, really painful. Oh, they were so painful. And that's why I couldn't really vlog or film anything, because it was just so much pain. I don't know how, I wouldn't even have known how to even hold the camera while I was going through those contractions. They were just so painful. So it took us about half an hour to get to the hospital, which was about 5 in the morning. And once I got there, the contractions were so bad that I could not even walk. I could barely walk. And they were at that point, they were 2 minutes apart by that time. Yeah, so they were coming pretty quickly and very intense. So when I got to the labor and delivery, they wheelchaired me into the room to be checked. And by that time, actually, they just took me right from the room to be checked into the labor room, because they knew that this was it. And on top of everything, the hospital system went down. So they were able to get some of my records from the paperwork that I had sent in, but they weren't able to get everything. So they had to take my blood and all kinds of things to get prepared. But they worked quickly and efficiently, because I was, I don't know if I was screaming, but I was definitely loud. Those were very painful, and it was the only way for me to get through those contractions. Again, they were 2 minutes apart, so very quickly, as soon as we got there, so I'm saying like 5, we got there, and by like 5:30, I was hooked up to everything and ready to just get checked, and they just admitted me and everything, and my doctor came about 45 minutes from the time that we got there, so that was around, 5:45, something like that. By the time that we got there, I was being checked by my doctor, like I said, about 5:45. And then the doctor was like, okay, you're almost ready. By the time I got to the hospital, I forgot to say this. By the time I was at the hospital, I was about 5 or 6 centimeters dilated. By the time that the doctor checked me, I was 8 centimeters dilated. And then the pain was just so bad though that I had to get the epidural. I was just in too much pain. I thought that the pain that I experienced the first time was because of the Pitocin, but I was so wrong. I don't know if I'm just not good with pain, but I could not handle that excruciating pain. I felt like my body was just ripping open, like I just could not handle it. And so I asked for the epidural, and they brought that to me right away, and I was so happy to have it, because the first time around I waited like 2 hours before I got the epidural. This time I could not do it. I just couldn't take the pain. Okay, so anyway, by the time that I got the epidural, I was really close to giving birth, and the doctor wanted me to, for it to take effect. So he said, okay, I'm not going to break your water yet, because as soon as I break your water, I know that this baby is going to come, from what I remember last time, because that's pretty much how it went last time too. And so I was like, okay, so I had the epidural. I was starting to feel so much better with that in, and once I think he waited like 20 minutes, and he decided that it was time to break my water. So the doctor broke my water, and he was totally right on that, because once he did, that baby was coming out. So they had me do a test push. I was ready to go, and I asked for a mirror so that I could see the baby coming out. I just feel like it helps me. The first time I also asked for a mirror, and I just feel like it helps me to see how I'm pushing, and I was able to see his head starting to come out already. So I don't even remember exactly how many pushes I did, but I just remember it was such a short amount of time, and all of a sudden I was seeing his whole head come out, and he had a lot of hair. And then they told me, okay, we got to push the rest of him out. And I'm not gonna lie, as soon as I saw like a part of like past his head, I got a little nervous. I couldn't watch anymore. It was very nerve-wracking to see, them coming out with all the blood gushing and everything. So, but it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. I was so happy I got to see as much as I did. It's time for his shoulders, and I was like, oh my gosh, so nervous. And my husband was there with me. He saw the whole thing, and it was just a beautiful moment. And then he came out, and they placed him on my chest, and I was just in awe of having another baby. I felt instantly in love with him, instantly, I just fell in love with him. Okay, I don't know what it is about talking about my family, but I always get teary-eyed talking about them, so yeah, I just fell in love with him when they put him on my chest. I was so happy that he was here. And just really quickly, this is not part of the birth story, but I remember before he was born, when I was in that hot shower, I remember feeling like, am I going to be able to love my second baby as much as I love my first? 'Cause I was, I'm so in love with my son, that I was worried if I was going to have that love for my second as well, but I did. I was just so surprised that I fell just in love with him, in love with this baby. As soon as he came out, I just looked at him, and he was beautiful. So after that, the doctor said that I really didn't have that much tearing. It was very minimal. He almost didn't even stitch me because it was just that little, but he said just for the sake of making sure that everything heals properly, that he decided to do that. And so he went ahead and did that after the placenta came out, and And yeah, so after that, the hospital that we were in is a baby-friendly hospital. So he was on my chest for an hour, and he breastfed right away, not too long after he came out. And it was just a great experience overall. I think the birth that I had went exactly how I wanted it to go. I, again, was not sure about the epidural at first, if I was going to have it or not. But you know what? It didn't matter. Everything went exactly how I had wanted it to go. It wasn't, it went beautifully. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better birth than the one that I had the second time around. The first time around was really good also, and I probably will do a birth story for you guys if you want on the first one, but this one was even better than that one, which I didn't think was possible for me, but it was, and I was so happy with how things went. So with that being said, I hope this wasn't too long and drawn out. But I wanted to give you guys all of the details of that labor and delivery in case you are watching this and are possibly going to be delivering yourself soon and wanted to know how a labor and delivery go. So let me introduce to you guys Nicholas Gabriel. Here he is. He's the one who's been making all of those noises in the background. So here he is. Say hi. He is now... Again, he was born March 1st, and today is April 10th, I believe, or April 9th. I don't remember. Anyway, he's going to be 5 weeks on Thursday, I think. Yeah. So here he is. Okay, so I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to head on over to Lauren's channel. Again, the link is in the description box down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!